Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers from 3 countries, 2 continents, and featuring 5 guys separated only by the same language. Here's your host, Richard Morley.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is, and wherever you're listening. Joined with me, as always, Mr. Chris Cute.
How you doing, everybody?
And Mr. I wear red shoes and they have a 2-inch heel, Joe Whittaker.
Only jealous. You're right, Sam. Yeah.
I'm well jealous. I'd never pull that off like you did. And of course, Jamie as well. Hello, Jamie.
Joe got the insult this week. Hello, everyone.
We are this week joined with our guest, as I'm sure you all know, Eloy. I'm going to try and pronounce this without butchering it too much. Eloy Escagedo.
That was awesome, dude.
Right
Perfect.
on. Right, perfect.
I'll take that. I will take that as a yes. From Escagedo Woodworks. How are you, Eloy?
Well, good, dude. How are you guys?
Good. Yeah, we've. I don't really know. I know obviously who you are, but I don't really know much about you, as probably less than a lot of people I don't know much about. So I'm actually really looking forward tonight to sort of get to know you and all the rest of it. I'll give you just a second because we're just going to run through our normal shout outs and blurb that I have to do at the start of every show. So bear with, and we will be right back with you. So this week's shout outs and thank yous go to Le Picbois, Greg Dykes, Andrew McQuillan, Paul Lockwood, Wacky Woodworks, Jim Dockrell, and Dave Gatton. I also have a shout out for a couple of people who they commented on our episode a week ago, and because they put a hashtag of, I won't tell you what the hashtag is.
Suicide Rick.
For some reason, YouTube takes it straight to like it needs to be authenticated or passed or something like that. So because you people put that hashtag, blast you, we didn't get the kind of notification in time. So thank you for, cheers for commenting that, basically. But we do like it when people get in touch with all the rest of it. So big thank you to you, and obviously a big thank you to our live listeners out there and anyone who's listening in the future on SoundCloud and all the other platforms where we kind of hang out-ish sort of stuff. Today's podcast is brought to you in part, as always, by Yorkshire Grit, the wood turner's abrasive paste. For more information, visit yorkshire-grit.com, and also our good friend Chad over at mancraftingtm.com. So he's still giving away one of his awesome mancrafting mugs. I know, Joe, you've got yours on you right now because I can hear the ice clanking around in the bottom of it. So
I've got to try and be quiet. Sorry.
Joe, be quiet. I don't think so. Never. If you want to find more about our sponsors or even be a sponsor, then obviously check out our website, makersinternationalpodcast.com. Not to be confused with what, Jamie?
Makercentral.co.uk.
That's the one, yes. So, Chris, do we have, I know we have, but I've got to ask the question, a random list of questions from the interweb this week.
We do, and it's taken from our group, our Facebook group, and the credit for this question goes out to Ray Mouter. So, Ray, thank you for asking it within the group. He asked the group this, so I figured, you know what? Decent question. I'll ask you guys this because we all have YouTube channels. He's throwing this out there. He goes, what's everybody's opinion on secondary and or tertiary channels for different types of content? You know, where you might have a single channel now, but what would inspire you to start another one, or would you not ever do that? I mean, so talk to me. What's your feelings on secondary channels for your offshoots of your main channel, I guess is what he's asking.
I've got no need for a second one, to be honest. I struggled keeping up with the first one, I got.
That's a good point, though, because you got to keep in mind that it's going to be twice as much work if you do start another channel. I look at it as if I'm going to be producing content that is a big leap from my main channel, then I'd feel it needs its own channel, because you don't want to be bombarding your existing audience with something completely different. But you do build a community that way by having a second channel, because the people who want to follow you will follow you whatever you do. You could sit and watch paint dry and they will watch you. So you can get that close
glue
connection.
dry.
Exactly, you can watch glue dry.
Which has been done, by the way. Just pointing that out. Richard,
I'm pretty. Yeah, I mean, I've got a second channel. Well, there is a second channel that I run, but I haven't put anything on it for 3 years because, as Joe said, it's just so much extra. I think it's more than twice as much work, actually. That's because I'm lazy. I haven't kept it up. So, yeah, I'm personally, for me, it's not a thing. But you know, there are lots of people that are in lots of different areas, and it does make more sense. You know, if you've got a woodworking channel and a computer tech channel or something like that, then it would make sense to sort of separate the two.
Well, I think Eloy, you could chime in on this because I think Eloy has 2 different channels. He's got his Escagedo Woodworking channel, and I believe you got a secondary channel that's pretty much devoted to music, don't you?
Yes, I do. I have 2: music channel and the woodworking.
So it's actually 2 separate, I mean, topics or pieces of content, so that making them separate just makes sense. And that's kind of what I was thinking too. I mean, I think a lot of people that have secondary channels that are in the maker community have a secondary channel so they have a place to throw their vlogs. You know, because I mean, vlogs never really do well compared to your build videos, and so they try to keep the main channel they're focused on pure, but they still want to do the vlogs for people that are interested. So they open up a second channel and throw it over there. And you know, what kind of success people have with that, I suppose varies, but you know, I can understand why somebody would want to do it. I mean, personally, when I have a vlog or an update video that I put on my channel, I will throw it out there and I will leave it public for like 2 weeks and then I'll take it down, because most of the time it's all like time sensitive stuff that I'm talking about anyway. And so there's no point in having it on my channel after 2 weeks because it's probably come and gone. I mean, so there's no point in having it there. Anyway, that's my opinion on it. So Ray, thank you for the question. I don't know if that actually gives you an answer, but at least tells you how we feel about it.
There is something else actually I was just going to jump in with. You could maybe consider growing your other social media instead of starting a new YouTube channel. Maybe a Facebook page for content as well. It's much quicker and easier to use the likes of Facebook and Instagram to get an instant message out there. So that could be another option depending on what you was planning on doing.
There you go.
Give it a go. Give it a go and see what happens. But, I think that covers that question. What are we going to talk to Eloy about? Jamie, you know Eloy much better than the rest of us. So do you want to kick us off in a particular direction and we'll sort of try and keep up?
Yeah, all right. Why not? Boxers or briefs?
Right out of the bat.
That's a record.
That's a record.
Shoot.
I hate to admit it, but I actually know this question because I went to see him in Miami.
All right.
Well, hang on a second.
Wait. There's a backstory to that one we need to hear. Let's hear it.
Right. It was in the morning. He was eating breakfast, and he just happened to be sitting around in his underwear.
So it has nothing to do with your grazed knees?
Nah. That was in the afternoon.
Right.
I'm so happy that this is going to be like marked for life, you know,
Edited.
out there.
Edited.
We're doing wonders for your image right now, Eloy. So let's just get the ugliness out of the way.
Right. I'll start with a couple of questions that's already out there. Jim Dockrell would like to know, what is your favorite guitar amplifier?
My favorite guitar amplifier. Well, although I don't mess with them much lately, back in the day I owned a couple of Fender amps. The 112 stage amp. It's the 112 stage SE solid state amp, and I found it pretty reliable. I like Jimmy Ray Vaughan, Stevie Ray Vaughan, both of them, and they used those smaller amps, and it just gave a great blues sound. So that's the amp that I would say.
Nice. Javi said, how did you come to love clam chowder so much?
Because I went to Chicago 20 years ago, and we went down into this little place that sold it, and they sold it in a sourdough bowl bread.
Oh man, yes.
And I loved it so much. And then I went to San Francisco. We were talking about San Francisco earlier, and I ate it at Fisherman's Wharf as well. And I loved it too. And it's just been a a love relationship with clam. I just love clam chowder. New England clam chowder.
Okay, right. I'll save the rest of the questions for a bit later on. Let's start the show off properly now. Alan used to start it. What is your Batman origin story? Where did it all begin for you?
Boy, which in specific, like making?
Making, yeah.
Well, it's simply if you consider making what we typically consider, which is the tools and the whole thing. As I've been doing music, which is, I would assume, I don't know if people categorize music. I know you guys probably do, but I've been doing music all my life. But the making with woodworking was when my old man, and seriously doing it when my old man became ill and then passed, and I had to take over the property here, and there was a lot undone, and so I said, well, let's just start fixing everything, and I started fixing everything, and I mean, that's when it started. Do you want me to be more specific, or is that good?
No, that's good. I mean, what are we talking?
Okay,
How many years ago are we talking, Eloy? I mean, how many? I mean, I'm sorry to hear about your father, but how old were you when that happened?
Well, my father passed away in 2009.
Okay.
Now, I mean, so if you think of 2009 as a starting point of making seriously, that would be the most accurate thing to say. But I don't want it to sound like prior to that I didn't do anything. But that specific thing, at 2009 and on.
Got it. That's when you had to get serious about it. Is basically what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Got you.
And it kind of sounds like that started as the woodworking, the tool making kind of aspect of it started through necessity rather than potentially a passion. Or am I misinterpreting that?
No, you know what? I always liked getting the hands dirty and doing. And there's a channel by that name. You can't talk woodworking without naming a channel's name because everybody's used such clever. So it's like you'll name like 20 right off the bat just by opening your mouth. So get hands dirty.
Yeah, you're just an average Joe.
You see how that works? What was the question again? I'm so sorry.
It sounds like the serious woodworking making started through necessity rather than.
That's
is that
true.
what happened? Or
yeah, totally, dude. Totally. That's exactly what happened. I needed to fix the property up, right, so I could do business, and I got to work on it. And there was a lot to do. We're talking everything you could possibly imagine, from flooring to kitchen, ripping out the kitchen, plumbing, outdoor mains, just a bunch, like running the electricity, everything. My dad was an electrician, or he was graduated from it, but when he came to this country when he was 18 years old, he joined the army and whatnot, and well, long story short, he ended up like doing so many different jobs, but working, repairing old TVs and all that. But anyways, I'm off on something else, but that's the whole gist of that.
Well, you became a real DIYer in the truest sense. I mean, because you did everything from plumbing to flooring, probably to roofing, to electrical, to drywall, to painting. I mean, it's like, been there, done. That's welcome to being a homeowner. Yeah, it's pretty much, if you know your way around a tool and a paintbrush, I mean, you go from A to Z when it comes to that kind of stuff. I've done the same thing, Eloy. So, well, good for you. You know what? That's because that's pretty much what got me back into it too, I think. Initially, because I was living the same story. I mean, I was living in a dilapidated place and I was renting it, and this guy didn't want to fix it up, and I didn't want to live in this dump, so I started fixing it up for him like an idiot. But I mean, I had to live there, so I wanted to make it nice, so that's what I did too. But I was in my 20s, at the time, so whatever. That's cool.
Yeah, it sounds like the same familiar song. Yep.
I think of something like that when you're enforced to do that kind of thing. I'm sure that would put a lot of people off pursuing it more than the necessity kind of thing. But was there initial, like a day or a specific point in time that you wanted to go down the route of it was becoming a passion and you was enjoying the physical making side of things and the sort of things we see on your channel? Was there like anything, a turning point that you took that route instead?
There was a turning point. I used to, prior to all that, I would post, because I do like things for like guitar pedal, guitar pedal, boy, I forget what it's called now. Boxes? What?
Fuzz box? Was it a fuzz box maybe?
No, boy, the cases that you take, I can't even think now. But whatever, I used to do all that, and I'd post, and other things, right? But in a very small way, and I'd post it to Facebook, because I've been on Facebook for a little while. And on MySpace. So there was a little bit of that. But I don't hate to say it, but I hate to say it at the same time, because it's been said so many times by so many makers, and you're probably already going to know. But what was that turning point? I clicked on and saw a guy hauling a trunk of wood and hatch, I guess he carved out, a chunk of that and took it inside to the shop. There was no audio occurring whatsoever. I was looking at it, and you could see, like just the grit and grunge dripping from that video. And the dude creates a chest, and it's all with metal, and it's all dirty inside that shop. And it's just like, and he creates this thing, and then all of a sudden the next shot is a wedding and people dropping their thank you and good luck with your life. And it was a Jimmy DiResta video. And I was like, this is art, man. This is like, it's not just hammering, it's not like with the plunger. This is art. So that's what I said, okay. So it's like music. People like that too. And I started doing it, like, I started doing videos.
Awesome.
I was just going to say, actually, just before you said that's like music, that passion, the turning the dirty chunk of wood into something beautiful is a lot like music. Do you think that your musical side plays a really big part in how you woodwork?
I think
in terms of your sort of mentality and philosophy.
I think yes, 100%. I think so. I haven't pondered it much what you're saying, but yes, I would say totally, because music has, music has not only the music itself, it has stories about the people that are playing on these albums, and it has segues into their lives and connections with other people, and it's like a story. And I see all of us, I mention it a lot, I see all of us, like in my world view, as different, it's the equivalent of different bands. One could be the Beatles, the other one could be Metallica, somebody's and the Hermits, I don't know, just different.
It makes sense, Eloy, that you would have been influenced by music for so long in your life, and that when you turned to something else, whether it was woodworking, and I'm glad it was, but if it was, I don't know, if it was plastering a friggin' wall, you would have found a way for that musical influence to have gone into the next work that you did, because you don't all of a sudden, because I've been there, I've done this, I've gone from one total different type of thing into another total different type of thing, and you can't help but carry that influence into what you're now doing now. You always see things in the way that influence your original influence kind of leads you. And so with a musical background, getting into woodworking, it's just natural for you to carry that over and to look at things and say, well, I'm now creating music, but I'm doing it this way. And it becomes that as well. And it's very apparent in your videos when you put them together that is a lot of where your influence comes from.
I swear to you, I look at all you guys' like logos, and I swear to you, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, oh, so this is like, and it sounds silly and childish in a way, but it's like, remember that feeling of like, this is good stuff, like that you see all these logos, and it's like there's all these different people, and they're making all these things, and I see it just like such an awesome. So I get the same feeling, or I used to get the same feeling from music when when I was new to music, but now I see new people all the time popping up and their logos. And, oh, what's this about? And that, it's just so exciting.
It is cool. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, when I came down to Miami and I was at your house, obviously I got to see inside your living room, like some of the things that you've made in some of your videos. And obviously one of the things that you do in your videos is you often get out the angle grinder and the blowtorch. When did you see that to be one of the two main tools in your video? Because you often use it a lot to distress the wood, and yet you still use them to. I know a lot of people wouldn't use that on a piece of Purple Heart, but you did, and it still turned out really nice.
Yeah, why did I do that, dude? Because it's like,
Why not?
You just answered your own question, because why not? Why did I do that?
I think that that for Pine, it's just he threw a curveball when he said Purple Heart because yeah, I'm just why, but yet I'm willing to I'm willing to do things that might seem stupid or non-traditional or off. I'm sort of willing to do that. So, but people burn Purple Heart, right? Or am I like? Could I retitle the video "The First Guy to Ever Burn Purple Heart"?
Hey,
I always find it.
If you're looking to become unique, then go for it, buddy.
It's always a thin line with Purple Heart. I find it's like because you get it in its raw state and it's a dark brown, and yeah, you add the heat, and it soon starts to go vivid purple. But that slight bit more, it's black and it's ruined. So I'll try and stay away from it myself.
I usually do it on Pine though, JP, because so I like the rustic. I like things to have sort of like a tale to tell, something that's got a story from people that had it before. So I like the rustic for that reason. So you'll take Pine and you could have Pine and not do that to it, but I like adding that sometimes, and that's really the reason. And I don't even remember why I did that the first time. I don't even remember why I did that the first time, to be honest with you. I don't remember, dude. Like why? But I do like it because of that reason, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember you just said about your videos. You like them to have stories and things like that. A lot of my favorite videos that you've made have had some sort of backstory. One of the first videos that I saw of yours was the comic book box that you made, which is actually in your living room, or was in your living room.
Yeah.
When I came down. So the stories that you put in your videos, they're just incredible, and you've got such a way of telling them as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you should. Me personally, I think you should definitely carry on doing that.
Well,
yeah, dude. I'll continue doing it.
What is the most important aspect of a project for you? Is it the requirements, or is it the materials, or is it just for the sheer hell of torching a bit of Purple Heart for whatever reason, or is it the story, or how do you go about coming up with a video? Where does it generally kind of come from?
So there's all those. It's funny, but all those things are true, because if I'm doing, like, for instance, if somebody asked me to build something like, there was a time when I was doing like a lot of boxes, like little chest boxes, and it's funny because the first chest box that I did wasn't the traditional way of like making a chest box, like pirate type box, but some lady had purchased it at the flea market, and I was passing around the little business cards, and she and a few others, but she kept coming back and asking me to build more of those in that manner. But I didn't. I built one just for the heck of it, and I put it out, but she wanted that one again and again and again and again, and so I would film that because it was a build that I was going to sell. But then I started thinking, well, wait a second, let's build something just for the sake of putting it on video, and so there, it's all those things, if that makes any sense. Did I answer it right, or does that sound? I mean, I know there's
No. That's great. Eloy, if you don't mind, I want to get into knowing Eloy, and not necessarily talk about making and things of that nature. I mean, talk to me about you. Dude, tell us about yourself. I mean, are you married? Do you have kids? What's a day in a life of Eloy look like? I mean, when you wake up in the morning, typically, what is your day like? I mean, tell us about you. I mean, because I want to get to know you.
Okay. Well, I am very I would put non-traditional as far as my daily activities, but probably very traditional to people that do woodworking and YouTube and all that. So I post things to Etsy, I video, I do builds, I sell stuff, I do digital music as well. So I still keep up with the music thing, although I love the making of items, tangible items. It's kind of on par with the music at this point. No, it's probably more. I enjoy it more. It's very earthy. I don't know what you could ask me a question more specifically and I'll answer. But just being broad, I'm a person that's very surreal in my thought patterns.
Well,
Do
I
you
mean,
have any pets?
Eloy, do you have a job? I mean, are you employed by somebody else or are you self-employed?
Self-employed.
And so, as a self-employed person, what do you do to make money? I mean, what is your job that you employ yourself to do?
Well, I am selling things that I make.
Awesome.
Locally and on the internet.
Awesome. So this is a business for you.
I do nothing else, and I have nobody to support or nobody.
So
It's
you're
just
not
me.
married? You don't have kids?
Nothing.
You're a
Yeah.
single guy. You're out there doing your own thing, and you're making a living at it.
That's right.
That's awesome, dude. You know how many people would love to do what you do?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
No, I'm telling you, I guarantee you, there's more than a few. We probably even the live chat. There are some guys here going, "Yeah, I wish I could freaking do that."
All they got to do is get up and leave it all behind, or it be left behind by a force, and the person can go off freely, frolicking on his way.
Yep. Well, you know what? You have to make that jump, and when you make that jump, you got to go. You know what? I've got to be willing to do without until I get really successful. So if you're not willing to do that, then most people
I have other means of funding myself as well. I'm not selling 1 million items per day. I'm not, it's not none of that. Yeah.
Right.
And the other means of income that I've had set up for a while, I don't usually talk about that, but
He's a pimp.
2 o'clock in the morning down at Key West, waiting for the Navy to dock.
I have a story about that actually.
Uh-oh. Well, go for it. Why not?
No. It's trust me. We're not going there. And I didn't do anything wrong. At least that's what came out in court afterwards.
Let's see.
I'm joking. That's a total joke.
That's a joke. It's a joke, people.
See, you guys, you know what the thing about this is? You guys are totally railroading me. Like this is gonna be so Makers International is gonna go on for like hundreds of years, and so like there'll be people like and then what the heck was this guy all about?
Oh dear.
Well, I tell you what, redeem yourself and come clean and tell people what you freaking do. And I think you already have. I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
You've already told people what you do.
Well,
I mean, Go ahead.
let's tell people what you did do. Some people don't actually know you used to work on the Everglades.
I've done so many jobs, so many jobs. It's like I'm a mess. What's that saying?
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, those are two channels you can check out too. See how easily see how that works out? So keep that in mind.
Just as an aside,
Yeah, I'm
Well,
sorry.
the last thing I want to do is cut you off there, but I'm gonna rush to your aid here, Eloy, because this whole jack of all trades, master of none. Not many people know that is only half of the saying. Did you know that? That is not the full saying.
I didn't know that.
The full saying is jack of all trades, master of none, oftentimes better than master of one.
Oh,
which actually basically kind of flips the whole saying on its head to say, you're a jack of all trades, that you're good at lots of things. You're not necessarily perfect at one thing, but you're good at lots of things, which generally is better than being only, I don't know, take the musician side of your life. If you were only a musician, that would be no help in doing up your house. But the fact that you can turn your hand to lots of things is actually more useful.
Oh yeah, dude. And by the way, thank you so much for because like that blew me away. I didn't know that there was a second part. See, if I would have known that earlier, things would have been different, right?
Well, for anyone listening, and so when somebody says that to you, that is the perfect retort, because a lot of people don't know that, and they go, "Oh yeah, you're just Jack," and they use it in a kind of a derogatory way, and you go, "Well, actually, yes, because in your face."
I just want to say one thing about that concept and what you said, that it's good to know a little bit of everything, and I'm sort of paraphrasing the same thing, but a lot of people they don't want to venture into new categories because it's sort of like, oh, it's too far out there. I don't want to go down that road because what if I fail, or what if if I ever get asked anything to like that, I tell people, do it. Well, because I have this crazy idea. Do it because life is short, and you have to explore. But that's my sort of scope, vantage point. Whatever.
Yeah,
I don't want to get too insane, too kooky here,
Well, we want to know about this Everglades job, so.
I'm sorry, JP. Yeah. So when the problem with, I'm going to tell you the story, but the problem is I've had a lot of tragedies occur back to back in my life. It's left me completely, pretty much, shattered, to be frank with you guys. So people don't get that. So, or not that they don't get that, but they find out, then things start to make sense. But frankly, I have ever present the thought that, and I hate to be a downer, but what are you going to do? Ever present the fact that we have a very incredibly limited time on this planet. In fact, every next turn can be, and I'm not pessimistic, but because of certain shocks to the system, those things are ever present. So I love life. I love the beauty of life. I love people, and at the same time, I like to be left the hell alone. There's a lot of dynamics there. But I'll tell you the story if you want to hear it. I don't know if I'm probably rambling, but I had to mention that because the story starts in a bad place. Do I mention it or not?
No, that's fine. I understand. And Eloy, kind of sort of having been there myself, I mean, I understand it gives you a different perspective on what a lot of people, it's that point in time when you become the 18-year-old that, I mean, and you used to hear this about stories from guys in the Second World War. It's going to happen to the other guy, not me. Nothing's going to happen to me. And then all of a sudden you get to be an adult, and all of a sudden a lot of things start to happen to you, and you go, you know what? That could be me. And so it gives you a different perspective on what you're doing. So yeah, from there, go ahead. I understand.
Okay, so I appreciate that, by the way. So I was young. My mother passed away. I had a life that was different up to that point. And I was an only child. And my folks, both of them pretty young, they didn't get to live a full life. And we all have stories like that. It's a sad thing, but they gave me a lot of love. And to lose my mom, it was difficult because at the time, you're a young adult and this happens. And I had people around me that were friends and acquaintances. They kept reminding me about this, at work, at church. Used to go to church. And I kept getting reminded, oh, poor. And I was like, listen, you know, one thing, you know, tragedies, what are you going to do? I trek forward, but I kept, so I had to leave all of these people because I didn't want to keep getting reminded of the same darn thing. Right. And so I drove out west and here in Florida and stopped at airboat place, walked up to a guy called Les Blanchard, which is now also not with us anymore. Came up to him and I looked up and he was dressed all official and all that. And I said, hey man, I know you guys are looking for cause I had read in the paper prior to going out west. It wasn't one of those, you know, so I had read it in the paper and I went out west and he looked at me and says, what? And well, I need a job, man. You know, I need to get out away from, and all these people are people that want to get away from, you know. And he said, he looked at me and he said, if you come back tomorrow, you'll get a job. Because I explained, I put my hand on his shoulder. I was screwed up. I had to keep with, I put my hand on his shoulder. His name was Les Blanchard and he's not with us anymore. And I miss him very much. Well, he looked down at me and said, because he was a tall guy, bulky guy. And he said, you come back tomorrow. I told him what had happened to me in a very brief, not like this. This is kind of more intense. And he said, come back. So that's how I started. And I did it for 10 years. I drove airboats under the sun and the rain and the lightning. And it was insane, you know, but it was good to get away from the city.
You know, good for you. I mean, you found a job that you needed. I mean, yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've needed to get away, and it really sucks when your job doesn't let you do that.
There's gonna be a hell of a lot of people relate to that because it's something so many people link to the making side of things. Making is an escape for so many people.
Absolutely.
Something as simple as a shed in your garden. You can go in the shed, shut the door, and the rest of the world doesn't matter. So I reckon everybody has got that in the mindset that you just got to put everything to one side and concentrate on something just for you, just that represents you, something that's special for yourself, and it takes you away from everything. So it's so relatable.
Yeah, absolutely, Eloy. I mean, I think we all probably have that similar story, because I really started getting into woodworking and getting serious about woodworking when I was working, 80, 90 hours a week, and I needed to make the world go bye-bye. My shop was my refuge. And so I understand where you're coming from. I mean, it was a matter of you needed the world to go bye-bye. So it was time for Eloy to drive airboats for people out into the Everglades and hang out without having to worry about the issues and the questions that other people had of you. And everybody needs that kind of break. So it's totally relatable, man.
Yeah, totally. And also, I mean, it's kind of testament to almost like Joe said, the maker philosophy of the willingness and the need to change, the kind of the willingness to want to adapt and being able to adapt. But also in that 10 years, I wonder how many people came on your boat because they wanted to get away from the city, even if it was for an afternoon, a day or whatever, to escape the hustle and bustle and just drive around the Everglades and see crocodiles and fish or whatever it was, but then had to go back. And that was maybe their turning point. So it kind of impacts further down the line as well, I think, which is probably where you get a lot of your character from, and obviously that says a lot about your character. So it's not all bad, not always.
I had a great. It helped me out a lot for sure. I mean, we worked with alligators. We'd go in the pens. We'd pull them out. We'd wash the pits. We'd put them back in. We'd go on tour. It was so great. But you have to at some point. Going out with lightning and thunder when you're on a metal boat on the water and you're sitting up top. Well, after 10 years of that, it was like getting old because it's like, how lucky am I? With lightning.
Sooner or later, the odds are that lightning bolt's going to find me. And if anybody who's listening is not familiar with what Eli's talking about, because Eli's talking about the southern portion of the Florida peninsula, which Eloy is still considered the Gulf of Mexico, isn't it?
Which part? The western side of?
Yeah. That's the Gulf of Mexico. If you've never experienced storms that happen during the summer and spring seasons in Florida, then you wouldn't understand what Eloy's talking about, because it's basically the lightning capital of the freaking world. Between us and Texas with the Gulf of Mexico, when we were down in Florida, you get the kind of storms that there's more lightning out in that water than anything. And if you're the highest point on that water, and what Eloy is talking about, because he would be the one sitting up high and the people would be sitting down below next to him, it's like, how lucky am I to be done this for 10 years and not had been hit by lightning yet? I mean, the chances are still probably pretty slim, but you start to question that after a while. It's like, how far am I pushing my luck here? It's like, it may be time for me to park this thing and go away a happy camper.
you watch her get a fractal burner, a Lichtenberg machine, and get it on the first time.
I didn't.
So I was just going to say, we've got a couple of questions from the chat when you're ready.
No, you crack on. You crack on. I've only got a rubbish story.
There's a couple of musical questions for Eloy. One's from Anna B.
Hey, Anna.
What is your absolute favorite song and why?
Oh my goodness, Anna. That's, you know how terribly difficult that. What's my favorite song?
That's like asking what your favorite pet ever was, Eloy. I mean, it's like
so difficult.
That's like not an easy question to answer.
Okay, I have like 100 of them, but I will say just for this one, Nobody Does It Better. That James Bond theme from, boy, I forget with Carly Simon. Believe it or not, you would expect rock and roll, this, and that, but that song is such a beautifully structured song. So I'll pick that one. That's one. I have a few others, but I'll pick that one. Carly Simon, Nobody Does It Better. The live version, Her by the Bay, up around your area, kind of, sort of, Chris, I think.
Yep.
When it was filmed.
Yep.
Yeah. I was expecting you to quote a Beatles song there, actually, because you're quite a Beatles fan, aren't you?
Yeah, but if I do that, then what's going to happen is that I'm not going to be able to stop, and I'm going to start, so if I had to pick a Beatles song, I would probably, boy, that is such a difficult thing. If I had to pick a Beatles song, it would probably be something off of Abbey Road, and it would probably, and I hate to say something, so I'm not going to say something. I love them all, dude. I can't do that. I would feel like
it's like, you know what? If somebody held my toe to the fire, I don't know, and if it didn't have such a negative connotation to it, I guess it wouldn't be such a problem. But I excuse my French. Excuse me. I really dig Helter Skelter. Helter Skelter.
I love it.
Helter Skelter is a killer record, and if Charles Manson hadn't screwed it up for everybody, it would be played a lot more. So, Joe, I'm sorry for that edit. I apologize, but Anyway,
I love it though. Helter Skelter, the way he did it, did it.
Yeah,
it's better than the way that you two did it, in my opinion. I don't want to compare apples to oranges, but
no, I agree. It doesn't get any better than that. But all right, whatever.
So sorry. Anna, I just want to say to Anna, I love your work. Anna, I love your work. You're very inspiring.
Awesome.
Okay. The next musical question is from the Wood Yogi. They ask, who is your greatest musical influence?
I'm not going to be able to get away from music on this thing. Who's my biggest musical influence? That would be totally the Beatles.
Yeah.
That would, period, stop, and it would be the Beatles. And I could sit here for hours and tell you why they're the most important happening since Elvis. And more important, I hate to say it, than even Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not, but yeah, the Beatles, period.
Mm-hmm. And you had your name outside Abbey Road as well.
What's that?
You had your name outside Abbey Road.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate that. When you did that, and I didn't expect you, we started talking, and you said, hey, man, one day I'll go to Abbey Road and so. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But you actually went and did it, dude. Like, you have a lot of leeway with me, JP. There's not you'll forever. I will. You can count me. And it sounds like this for that, but doing that was meaningful to me very much.
You know, let me ask a question because I think because I mean, all of us are going. Are you going to be able to make it to Maker Central? I know the expenses behind this, so I mean, I don't know if you're going to be able to or not. Are you going to be able to make it over to the UK this year?
I'm not going to be able to make it.
That sucks. That's too bad. It would have been great to have you.
Yeah, I would love to. That's one of the. I mean, meeting JP and Mark Saunders and Javi, but Javi's like right here, right? He's like 8 miles away.
One too many times is enough.
Javi, no offense.
It was a big deal for me to meet people that I relate to. So I relate to, you know, we all have our personalities and our different interests within but I relate to all you people. Like I relate to all you people where I feel comfortable. For the most part, there's craziness there, but it's a huge, vast ocean of people, and I feel comfortable with it. So it was a big deal. It would be a big deal for me to be able to come face to face to you guys. I would be like literally like a fan looking at you and like, wow, you know, and appreciative. It's a big deal, but I'm not going to be able to make it.
Oh well.
But unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people that can't make it. Not just having to travel 6,000 miles across the Atlantic, but there's going to be people in the UK, and I already know of people in the UK that are unable to make it for various reasons. I do suspect, though, that in subsequent years, this will grow and it will become hopefully more accessible to people. So, fingers crossed for that, because I'd love to meet you in person as well, Eloy. I think that'd be awesome.
Well, thank you.
I mean, we live in the same country, and someday I'd like to shake your hand myself, Eloy. So, if I'm ever down in Florida, I'll let you know.
Dude, we should do it the other way, where I leave this area because it's so dark.
Okay, yeah, all right. And I tell you what, you're welcome at my place anytime you want to come, buddy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Just take a snow shovel.
That's it. It's got some snow and he's shoveling.
Just bring a shovel with you, especially during the winter, because I'll need the help.
You got to try and dig your way into his house at the moment.
Yeah, well, yeah, actually, it's not too far from wrong. We've got about 12 minutes left, Richard.
We have, but I refuse to let us end the show without talking a bit about not just why you started YouTube. We've talked about why you got into making and all the rest of it, but specifically why you started YouTube and your channel. But also, when we've talked about that enough, I want to know more about the Mad Maker show. I know nothing about it, so you're not just educating me, but probably some of our listeners as well. All I know is it's got to be something to do with madness, because Jamie's been on it, I believe. Is that
Couple
true?
of times.
Oh, it's automatically a little screwed up then.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us about why YouTube and obviously the spin-off to the Mad Maker show. So
the YouTube bit is basically wanting to. There's multi levels there, wanting to document. Has always been the original intent, and I started in 2006 with the music channel, and I don't post to it much anymore, because frankly I've started to put some music into my woodworking. Like I'm not one of those people that can do a million different channels like you were all talking about, or like I prefer a station, like a fixed place. So I've migrated all that to my woodworking channel, but initially it was to vamp, show my friends, and reach out to other people. There was no monetization, none of that. And so that's the story with the woodworking. It was to show what I could do, and then I got the brilliant idea that's been thought of before, which is you can use these videos to market to people locally, which worked for me. At some point, I was selling American flag wall art, that you open up and you can conceal things in there, and furniture with secret compartments. I was doing all that stuff, and then some things happened, which whatever, that would be a whole other story. So I'm kind of like going off in another direction with my woodworking now, but I started for that purpose, to show it off, and see if I could get clients. Yeah. And then the second part, the Mad Maker part, is that, well, I had a few shows going on the year before last with Matt Haas and Ryan Bitters and Rick Wilkie, which I haven't seen in a little while. And those shows ended. One was called Scratch. The other one was called Made by a Nation. And they were the brains behind all that. And they just brought me along. And I said, well, okay. So they wanted somebody that'll ramble, kind of like the woodworking junkie, right? Although I'm more tame than the woodwork. But not by much. But yeah, so they wanted, and it worked, but it ended. And then I said, well, let's start something on my channel to draw people to my channel. We get to interview people that I vamp off and like, and get to have that moment and all these factors. So I think it's such an effective thing because you bring in people from the community. They get to ask them. It's exactly what you guys do, to be honest with you. I just stamped it with the Mad Maker thing because I am kind of kooky. I'm not going to sit here and lie. And JP is too. So we wanted to dress it in that Mad Maker sort of garb.
And that's a regular thing, I believe, isn't it?
Every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Here on my channel, and we've interviewed a bunch of cool cats. Bobby Duke, prior to this huge explosion that occurred. Adam McMillan, Matt Haas, Javi from Javi's Woodshop, Chad from Man Crafting, Rebecca DeGroot, just a bunch of people. I'm leaving out Jake Thompson. I'm leaving out a bunch of people. They know that Carl Jacobson. And this coming week, we're going to interview
David Garnier.
David Garnier from Elm City Vintage, which I love that guy. That guy is awesome. I just dig that guy, his skulls and all that stuff.
David is, David is maybe 20-30 minutes away from me here in Connecticut is where he lives. David's a good guy.
I like him very much because I won, and it wasn't because of this. I liked him before, but it added to it. I won his skull shovel. He made a skull shovel and he put it on. He put the contest on Instagram, and he says, "Win this bleep shovel." He's like he's very direct like that, and I don't know, man. There's something comforting about that. He's got that rock and roll punk vintage vibe, and it's totally up my alley. I won that shovel. I'm going to show it on the show and see what goes down, how he is to be interviewed.
Awesome. I'll watch that. I can't wait for that because David's a good dude. You're gonna like David.
And that's Tuesdays at 8 o'clock Florida time.
Yes, Florida time,
so
Eastern.
Yeah.
Eastern. So that's 5 hours behind the UK for anyone here in the UK that wants to listen.
So
Excellent.
when this comes out officially, it would have come out yesterday, so you can go and watch it back on Eloy's channel.
Yeah. Or if you're watching it live now, actually because the UK hasn't changed their time yet and the US has, it's going to be it will be an hour different from what you just mentioned, Richard. It's going to be a little bit. It's going to be an hour earlier than that. For the folks in the UK.
I'm kind of glad you brought that up, actually, Chris, because you've changed your clocks, haven't you? You've gone.
Yeah, we set our clocks ahead an hour as of today. Today being Sunday. Yes.
Says who?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Look through the nose. I'm just following along with what everybody else is doing.
It's a genuine curiosity question because the world does take its time from Greenwich, which is, I believe, in the UK. We tell the world what the time is, not someone else.
Well, I'm sorry to have usurped some of your power, but we went ahead and changed our clocks, not minding what you say. So. I guess you're not
every year.
I guess you're not the friggin' bee's knees after all. I apologize.
They're rebels. They are.
They are. Honestly, they'll think they're independent next.
We divorced you once. I mean, don't make us do it twice.
It's like Carl Jacobson. It's like Billy Idol.
The funny thing is, actually, it's funny because it's true, but there are genuinely going to be people out there that absolutely think that. They're genuinely like, what? But we're not like that on here because we basically don't care about anything.
It's okay.
Because Joe's edit will have to reflect.
I kind of am like that. It should all be Greenwich Mean Time, no matter where you am. Stake in the ground.
Yeah, because you made all the clocks up in your part of the world, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, a lot of them, yeah.
Anyway, we digress now completely. We've got totally gone off track. How do we get back on track? That's it. I've done that. Eloy, we've talked about what you're doing on your show and Tuesdays, etc., which kind of fed us into this trap. But who do you watch on YouTube? Who do you like to, relax when you're not making? You're just watching people make. Who do you like to, get your inspiration from? Perhaps on YouTube.
So it's such a chaotic thing because I go and I can't sit and necessarily, like, I'll be all over the place. I'll go from history to just, resin. Like lately I've been checking out all this resin pouring and all these techniques. I saw Chad from Mancrafting bought this huge what is it, JP? A suction
Pressure pot.
It's a pressure pot. And he just went out and said, I'm just going to go and start doing this. I was like, oh, man, that's it. And then I saw Pam Harris, Highland Boxes, which I love. It's her. She's what a trip. And she tells you and she shows you in her videos. So I've been into that. And then, of course, you have, Heath Knuckles and Michael Zerker. So I've been into that lately, but it could be so random, man. I could be watching a documentary, and I'm sure we all are like that a little bit. Are we? Or do we stick to the same thing?
I'm exactly like that. I'll fully confess.
Yeah.
I'm exactly like that as well. Yeah, absolutely. So, if you don't mind, I'll put down Highland Boxes as your shout out because I happen to agree with you there. Cause
yeah, for sure.
Good stuff.
Pam's great.
Awesome.
Wicked. But do you have anyone you want to shout out, Chris? Vince is your
you know what I do.
Stuff?
I do, and he's a good buddy of ours, and I think everybody that's listening to us probably knows him. Gerald, the Redsmith. Have you seen the video he put out? The last video he put out about making the leather pirates map. Really, really well done video. Very entertaining to watch. But Gerald always kicks it when it comes to the video portion of it. He always does a great job. So yeah, my shout out this week is to the Redsmith for the treasure map, the leather treasure map that he made. Great story, great video. If you haven't had a chance to look at it yet, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Go take a look. You won't be sorry. It was very cool.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. I haven't watched the video, but the thumbnail does look awesome.
It's awesome.
Is there.
Honestly, it's Gerald. I mean, he's cool. I love him.
He always rocks a good video, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else got anything good to say about anyone else for videos and stuff?
I've got lots to say.
Joe?
But Joe can go first.
Yeah, go on then. No, you go because you haven't got to do the edit.
No, it's fine. Joe can go first.
Right, we've got Dirk from Sumo's Projects. He recently revamped an old bench. He goes into great detail in the video. It's a brilliant video to watch. Takes an old bench, shows it a new lease of life. And it's really got me inspired because a few years ago, I bought some bench ends and I haven't got around to doing anything with them. So this has kind of been the kick up the backside to think about probably doing it this summer. But he's got great videos on his channel. He recently surpassed 1,000 subscribers as well. So if you haven't subscribed already, head over there, get subscribed, check out his stuff, fantastic content. That's Sumo's Projects on YouTube.
Awesome.
Yeah, great stuff. Dirk's the top bloke. Go on then, Jamie. What have you?
The reason I let Joe go first is because I've got to do Jamie's page.
It's never going away.
There's a couple of bits of news. Rob Summerlin from Worsley Summercraft has just passed 5,000 subscribers. Nice. And our sponsor, Chad from Mancrafting, has just passed 15,000 subscribers over on the YouTubes. Also, Jake from Northside Custom Crafts, Jake Thompson, that is. He was doing a cutting board raffle for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and he raised in total about $1,000.
Good for you, Jake.
Well done, Jake.
Yeah, well done.
Jake.
That's brilliant.
My shout out, reluctantly, goes to one of our own, Joe Whitaker.
Oh, really? Okay.
Reluctantly.
The reason I'm giving this, it kind of comes down to the nail in the wood coasters kind of ideas, and the making the glasses from the bottles the juice came in and all that lot. He made a heated sweater from a heater pad and a battery pack for the old cold times in the workshop. And I just thought it was one of them ideas, sort of like, how the hell did you think of that? You know, and for less than £10, you genuinely can't go wrong, because you can get them battery packs, I believe, in like Poundland or Dollar Store. You know, and even if you wanted to get 2 or 3 of them, they last quite a long time. You know, because I've actually got a couple of them myself. So for, let's say, £15,
All right,
that's still a good one.
I'm gonna put that down as your shout out, Jamie. But you know, I'm just gonna say to Joe right to his face, I hated the friggin' shirt he used for that. Anyway, okay.
I so wanted to mention Chris in that video. First of all, I was thinking, shall I say it's Chris's favourite team?
Oh
and then
man!
I was thinking,
Oh no! I would not have
that's
shown
going to
up.
be out there forever on the internet, and I thought I can't do that to him. Shall I say something at least? And I thought, no, I'm best just stay clear. I need to podcast with the guy every week, so it's not worth rocking the bows.
That's a nasty butt cold T-shirt to begin with. Anyway, so whatever. All right, whatever. What? Okay, Jamie, I'm gonna give it to you, and Joe. Yeah, we'll talk. Whatever.
See, now I am genuinely confused, because Joe, you're saying that you were reluctant to put that on Chris because it'll be out there forever, but you were willing to put on your red patent leather open toe high heels and keep that in a video forever.
It's a regular Friday night.
That's Joe's a diverse. Joe's a very diverse individual. I mean, let's let. Hey, he's entitled to his own lifestyle. Richard, back off.
Absolutely, no, seriously, I'm not dissing the guy by any stretch. And please, anyone listening, don't think I'm being, prejudiced in any way, because I'm not. Genuinely not. I just respect to the guy for it's just his thing, obviously.
The more awkward thing about it was asking my mum if I can borrow them.
To be fair, it's probably worth asking her, just in case she caught you. Got the wrong idea. So, how am I going to play this?
Oh God, crack on, please.
Yeah, seriously, if you don't know what we're talking about, just go and watch the video. That's got to be going to be a fun one. My shout out though, this week, has anyone seen Tim Sway's latest video?
Yes.
Vice restoration. That's such a cool looking vice, and I've never seen one with like a flexible, twisty, roundy, rotating jaw thing on it. But Tim Sway got like an old manky, rusty machinist vice that someone had given him, and he basically restored it and then gave it to Vance. So Vance has got this, wicked old restored vice. I just thought that was genuine, because the reason, I don't want to put the video down, but it's just a restoration video. But what got it for me was right at the end when he shows it to Vance and he gives it, and what he says to him about what he can do with the vice.
Yeah,
that really kind of hit home for me. It was like,
it was cool.
Pass it on to your son or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that just got me. That was brilliant. That just made the whole thing so.
Well, Tim's awesome.
Yeah, fantastic. Genuinely nice guy. So I think Joe is probably getting towards the end of the show. You've already got some editing to do, so let's not make it too painful for you. Eloy, thank you for coming on. As I said at the start, I barely know you. I've got to know you that bit better now, and I'm glad we've finally sort of face to face over the internet. So thanks for coming on. It has been genuinely awesome. If anybody doesn't know who you are, where can they find you and find out more about you and the Mad Maker Show?
So the best place to go is rockandwoodworks.com. That's rock, the letter N, woodworks.com. And that's my website. And from there, you can find free music downloads, music tracks that are also paid. We also have woodworking articles and the whole bit. And that could lead you to my YouTube, and everything else. So do that if you want to find out more about me. And can I say one thing? That's the
Sure.
Always.
So thank you guys very much. I appreciate the interview and taking the time. And I just wish, I'm thinking back now, I'm gonna be sticking my head in the sand, thinking back, I could have gone a little bit more into the positive things as opposed to the but truth is truth, right? So I hit you guys with some heaviness. Sorry.
No, man, don't apologize for that ever. I mean, that's awesome. It's how we get to know you, Eloy. That's absolutely awesome.
Always
Thank
better
you.
to keep
I'm
it real.
just- Yeah, I'm just kind of flattered that you thought it was an interview, actually, to be honest. that implies at least some kind of professionalism, which any of our regular listeners will tell you ain't the case. Wicked. So I think on that note, a big thank you to you, Eloy, as we've already said, and obviously anyone who is still listening, a big thank you to you as well. Is it worth mentioning, Chris, Jamie, Joe, about the next week we'll be live an hour earlier, won't we? Because we haven't changed. I think it's only for that. And don't we cross over with somebody?
We're going to be, yes, we're going to be at the same time next week as we are this week. It's going to, because the U.S. changed their time before the U.K. did. For you U.K. listeners, we're going to be on an hour earlier than we normally are. For the United States and North America, it's not going to change. But, and yes, we are crossing over a little bit with Steve Twidell, because Steve just started doing a live show at 7:30 UK time. So, and Steve normally runs a little bit over, so we're going to overlap each other, but we're cool with that. It's only going to be for a few weeks, so it's no big deal. And we love Steve, so we don't care. As long as he doesn't mind, we don't mind. But yeah, and next week we're going to have Mr. Paul Wilmore sitting in Eloy's seat, so we'll get to know Paul. For those of you who know Paul Wilmore, that ought to be a good one too. So there you go.
Yeah, definitely. And I think probably it's worth noting, if you're a total doofus like me and you can't tell the time most of the time, just subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell icon, and that'll tell you. And don't we have an event booked? It was. I thought that was I had to slide that one in there.
Should we do the like and subscribe now too, Richard?
That's Joe's bit.
But in all seriousness, though, don't we have an event set up weekly on the Facebook group?
We do.
People to say that. So if you want to come on the Facebook group, make us on YouTube, on Facebook, answer the questions, and you pretty much get let in. I don't actually read. I just accept everyone.
All the refreshments.
Absolutely. And there's an event, so you can say you come to the event, and then you get a reminder, and you won't have to worry about what. That's basically how I know how to be here at the right time. So it obviously works. Brilliant. Well, thanks to everyone for listening, and thanks Eloy for coming on. Hopefully you won't diss us on your show like we dissed your show on our show. So, for anyone listening, thanks very much. You take care, and we'll be back at some point next week.
Have a great week, everybody.
See you next week.
Take it easy, everybody.